various clinical departments. You are not the person in laboratory. So managing those things could be tough, especially if it's public. If it is private, it's a bit different. Private, I hire you and I decide when to fire you. I decide the criteria for me to follow to fire you. But that is difficult in public office. I always hear, why didn't the president fire them? Which fire? The only person the president can fire are those his ministers. The president cannot fire permanent secretary. The permanent secretary got there through certain ethical principles and policies laid down by the country following Nigerian constitution. So you will first get a panel. So if you catch, even if you get a video, once the person is a senior person in the university or the teaching hospital, you cannot fire him. You write a letter, you set up panel, so God help you, if the people in the panel are for him, they will eventually, they will even recommend that the management should apologize that they embarrassed him. So it's a different. So that's the problem of leadership, really. So clinical leadership. This one is the one that I think I should talk about because of the population. Like I said earlier, your exposure to privileged information and data of patients itself should prepare you for leadership. Because in addition to the data you are getting, you also have the ethics to say you keep the information to yourself without exposing the secret of the patient. And then the rigors of your training. You go from this posting to that posting and this and that. That's what leadership is about. Then when you actually now become a doctor, you become a consultant, and you are the one overseeing patients. I keep saying it. I have never seen any other responsibility that is greater than that. For me to decide, this patient, I am going to remove your testes, and that is the only treatment. And it's me taking the decision. I am going to remove your larynx. You will not be able to talk again. I am the throat surgeon. That is my decision. When I finish removing your larynx and you are not talking, I will follow it up with this treatment, that treatment, and then we can look at if you can get a valve to support your voice. That is a lot of responsibility. And I believe that's why I feel doctors were prepared. Again, if you join research, the art of writing data, keeping data, recruiting with honesty, declaring conflict of interest, probity in management of research funds, all these are grants to prepare, but these are informal grants. You still need to go to institutions to see how are things done. That is why if you are in a department, if you are in the department as head of department, you have run the faculty as dean, you have joined committees, it exposes you to knowing the problems of the institution and how decisions are taken. Many times, the only thing we see is how is the decision taken. That's the only thing we see. How? What was sacrificed? We don't. But when you join and you run through the ladder, department, faculty, program directors, and this and that, you're going to see, oh, this was what sacrificed to get to this place. And then that will tell you that's the time you are now going to have your real leadership training. Why is leadership very important now? For us in medicine, hospitals are becoming complex. I mean, the years before now, hospitals were a simple place where you just enter, get your treatment and go. But now hospitals are complex. We have a lot of responsibilities in the hospitals. We have a lot of professionals in the hospital who are senior people in themselves. And then because also funds are dwindling, hospitals are into quite a number of things. In fact, you hear people say, let our hospital be doing pure water. That's not the mandate for the hospital. Let your university be doing, no, that's not it. So all of this makes leading those institutions very, the person who will be in charge must be a person who is well tutored in leadership. So, like I said, hospitals have become complex socio-political entities, hampered by power dynamics, disciplinary boundaries, and competing discourses, inherent tension between clinical and administrative discourses, as evidenced from evaluation of clinical director. You'll be so surprised that this is from a publication in Australia. It's not even from a Nigerian publication. So all these things that happen in our setting, they happen elsewhere. So that's what makes case for leadership skill curriculum, and this has been well developed in the US and UK now. Leadership is an active process. It requires intense exposure, like I've told you, until you see the dynamics of decision taking. You may not understand the decision itself. You may not understand the decision itself. It requires seeing the dynamic variables that influence decision taking. And you have to, I mean, over time, you're going to see that, oh, the person in charge, the courage and boldness he has demonstrated, because he's responsible and is only committed to leaving a legacy that will protect the long-term goals and mandate of the institution. This is usually the problem that we have. So, in conclusion, one overarching goal of leadership is to improve institution and society. At the end of the day, that's what you're saying. And let nobody deceive anybody. It is measurable, it is quantifiable. In the hospital, if you go back to data, we can say it. When so was CMD for 5 years, the number of patients seen in the hospital is this million. We can break it down to this was seen in pediatrics, this number was seen in surgery, this number was seen in this. During somebody's tenure, we could say 1 out of 1,000 patients who entered the hospital and they were booked for surgery, only 50 had surgery. The rest did not have surgery because 1, doctors were not available, 2, funds, the hospital charges were too. We can break it down and quantify. Let nobody deceive anybody. During the 5 years, A was head of the university. There were 20 times there were disruption of lectures, and 10 of these was because there was no electricity. 2 of these was because there was no water. 3 of we can quantify it. The only thing is, usually we may not want because we're not bold or because we also have our own biases. But leadership is measurable and can be quantifiable. The measures can be delivered also in 2 ways, either by feedback or evaluation. You can, I mean, I was sitting in an airport just about 3 weeks ago, and I met one old man. It's a long time I've seen. He's a member of council of one of Nigerian universities. And the way he was talking about the vice chancellor, within 5-10 minutes that I left I called the vice chancellor. He said he never knew that there are people like that in academics, the way he was handling the university, this and that and this. So that is what they call feedback. That is feedback. It's not yet an evaluation. Feedback. I met your friend, is this, and they said you did this. Oh, please just continue this and that. That is feedback. Is one of the ways you can the person will know is doing well, is not doing well. That is a bit fishy. In Nigeria, it could be, because now we know that in Nigeria now, psychophancy is already has grown to the level of religion. That people will just, oh, anything you do, you are doing well, sir. Anything you do, I mean, if God has not put you here, this place would have collapsed. But you can get honest feedback from people who
Thank you so much. So please, can we jam our hands together one more time? I'm still going to ask us to do that one more time. It's a big round of applause for Professor Akinwula's listening. I think that's a very detailed session, and I really love it. So I have a request, if you don't mind me. I don't know if it's possible to give us access to this same slide for some of us that probably want to, go over it. Please, can we jam our hands together for that? Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you so much, sir. This, I mentioned earlier, like last year, I learned a lot that is just beyond giving people injection and cutting people's stomach. I'm trying to be funny. I'm saying I learned a lot about this practice that goes beyond the four walls of the hospital. And we're already doing that today, talking about leadership and how to, rightfully integrate everything into what we do. So right now, I'd like us to know that at the back of the jotter, how many of us have received jotters? There is a barcode there that you can scan that can show you the brochure for this event and the soft copy of this in my hand. So you can just scan it directly. For those of you that do not have this, because this is not available for everybody, I think this is just for our guests, but you can have the soft copy. So today we're going to be giving out something amazing. Apart from the fact that we're giving people awards, a lucky winner today is going on with a brand new iPhone 15 charger. Yeah. If you have faith from charger, very soon you win the actual. It's as simple as that. Please, a round of applause for yourself, ladies and gentlemen. So I want to give out this. I also want to give out cash prizes. I should give out the cash prize now in your name. Opelumi, wow, that's amazing. How many for Opelumi? A round of applause. So I'm going to ask 5 people, if you're interested, you want to give us something particular that you learned from this previous session. Raise your hand. This is 2024. I'm not going to beg you to participate in a game that I want to dash you money. So if you are not willing, if you are shy, drop your hand. But if you know you want to go with extra money, raise your hand now. Nobody's raising their hand. 1, 2. Thank you so much. Round of applause for yourselves. The country is hard enough. I'm not going to beg you to win my money. The money that I want. Do you know how hard I have to work for the money? All right. So ladies and gentlemen, please let's jam our hands together for, we're going to be going straight into the second keynote speech now. A round of applause for the person coming up to take the citation for our second keynote speaker. Let's keep jamming our hands together for her. So when we are back, we're going to be giving out 10,000 naira when we come back to a lucky winner So start getting ready. Please, a round of applause. Let's jam our hands together for him.
Good morning. Dr. Atenoke Uwaje. Dr. Atenoke Uwaje is a distinguished pediatrician and the Chief Medical Director of Atlantis Pediatric Hospital in Lekki, Lagos. She is a Fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics and a Diplomat of the American Board of Pediatrics. Dr. Uwaje earned a medical degree from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State in 1989. She completed her internship at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUT, before advancing to postgraduate training in pediatrics at Howard University Hospital, Washington, D.C. in 1993. She became board certified by the American Board of Pediatrics in 1996, a certification she continues to uphold. Furthering her expertise, she pursued a fellowship in pediatric emergency medicine at the University of Chicago Children's Hospital, now Connor Children's Hospital, in 1997. With extensive clinical experience across various hospitals and outpatient settings in the United States, Dr. Uwaje has dedicated much of her career to delivering high-quality, affordable healthcare to undeserved communities in inner-city Chicago. Her last role in the U.S. was as an attending physician with Advocates Medical Group, one of the largest physician groups in the Illinois-Indiana region. Since co-founding Pediatric Partners Hospital in Victoria Island, Lagos in 2011, Dr. Uwaje has been a dedicated advocate for preventive health care. She has actively participated in numerous seminars and webinars throughout Nigeria, emphasizing best practices in clinical governance. Her commitment to excellence in healthcare leadership is demonstrated by a completion of certified training in healthcare. A commitment to excellence in healthcare leadership is demonstrated by a completion of certified training in healthcare board governance from the Healthcare Leadership Academy. She also holds a health management certificate from the Enterprise Development Center at Pan-Atlantic University, Lagos, and leadership and management in health certificates from the University of Washington and the Wharton School of Business, Pennsylvania, USA. As the Chief Medical Director of Atlantis Pediatric Hospital, a state-of-the-art 40-bed level 3 facility, Dr. Uwaje manages a pediatric healthcare environment. The hospital features 4 pediatric ICU beds, 6 neonatal ICU beds, a radio diagnostic center, 3 operating theaters, betting suites, and more. Atlantis Pediatric Hospital is dedicated to the care of women and children from birth through young adulthood. With a clapping ovation, join me as I make a grand welcome of Dr. Atenoke Uwaje to the podium.
Can we jam our hands together for our husband, Dr. Uwaje? Please, a big round of applause. Thank you so much for also joining us. Such an amazing gentleman.
Hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be back to Great Ife. I'm so honored, deeply honored to be here. In fact, when I got the invitation from Miss Pelumi, I'm like, what do I have? Please, you know. In fact, it was actually my sis, Dr. Bolaji, who initially called me and said, you know, they've been looking for you. Apparently, the mails has been going to spam. And, you know, just as Prof said, I also looked through to see, all these people they've been giving awards to, I don't think I'm worthy of this award, but I feel deeply honored, okay? And I'm going to tell my story too. because I love the fact that the CMD said something about people repeating. I repeated. All right, because the years when we started when we got in IFE, and you had, we were doing anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. So if you fail 3, you're gone. If you fail 2, you repeat that year. If you fail 1, you will resit. I failed 2. I repeated, but it strengthened me. Really, really strengthened me. So I don't want anybody depressed, okay? All right, and in fact, after I repeated, I now got the prizes for the best student in pathology in my class. Yes, I got the best prize for the second MB exam as well. So, the fact that your lecturers feel that you need more help, that's not to make you depressed or to think that you can't make it. It's so that it can strengthen you. And trust me, if you ask almost all your consultants to, very, very few really did not have a little break. Those breaks strengthen us the more. Thank you. Okay. So, and I'm sorry I don't have my stuff in PowerPoint, Our professor, they've done all of that. So just bear with me, We're just going to have fun, okay? So, well, good morning. It's almost afternoon. Distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. All established protocols duly observed. It's a deep honor for me to be here with you today, gathered in the spirit of progress and innovation. As healthcare leaders, we understand the challenges facing our systems today. In fact, it's good that we're having someone from the public sector. I have practiced all my life in the private sector. So I'm just nodding at when Prof was talking. I'm like, hey, this kind, of course, as a leader in the private sector, it's a different ballgame. Of course, all of the stuff for clinical governance are the same. But so many decisions are separate. People are a little more, what should I use the word now? More conforming when it comes to private, because yes, if you're not doing it right, we have to get rid of you. If your revenue you are generating is not enough for the hospital, we'll say, you have to go. And if our patients are not satisfied with your bedside manners, we have to let you go. So those are things that can happen in a private sector, but it cannot happen in the public sector. So I don't even envy any of my colleagues that are in the public sector. So I'm supposed to, from financial constraints to gaps in accessibility and resource limitation, these challenges are pressing us to think creatively and lead with resilience. So I'm supposed to talk on returning to reform, leading change in local healthcare systems. And I think reform is essential. We cannot continue to do it the way we do it. We need to begin to really think outside of the box. And it's really for you Gen Zs that really, 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 we need to begin to think outside of the box. Okay. All right, so, and I would like to share some insights and action-oriented strategies on how we can lead this change from within our local healthcare systems. So first, we need to have an understanding of the urgency. All right? Healthcare systems were facing unprecedented pressures. Apart from trying to make ends meet, I know a number of us saw the notice with UCH. Can you imagine a huge institution having their power to be cut off? Do you think the CMD is very happy? Even the patients that are being taken care of, even the students, everywhere is dark, you can't get all of those. So you can imagine the enormous challenges that we're facing. From an increasing burden of chronic diseases to the effect of global health crisis, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment. Yet it's not only the large-scale crisis that signal the need for reform. Local systems are struggling with overburdened emergency services, outdated infrastructure, staff burnout, and in some cases, a loss of public trust, especially now that we have social media. Before you know it, hey, it's on social media. All right? And it's just one-sided. Remember what Prof said. Somebody will just sit inside their room and just believe they know everything. Before you know it, images have been tarnished. Reputations have been tarnished. Institutions, public trust. Don't go there. That's where they kill people. Just because of an adverse occurrence that somebody just took to the social media without any recourse for what's going to happen. So what can we do? Let every participant here evaluate and acknowledge the current pain points within your own healthcare environment. Encourage open dialogues amongst your team and patients to bring these issues to light. Reform begins with recognizing the need for change at all levels. And even as students, don't believe you don't know anything or you can't make a change. You can actually make suggestions to people in authority, all right? It's not critique now, but saying, I think we can do this a little better. What I tell my staff, if there is something wrong, come and tell us, but profile solution. Don't just tell me the problems. Tell me how we can change it. And I would also champion, you to be part of it. So it's not just, you people are not this. Okay, so how can we what do we need to do to make it better? Now, the role of community-centric care in reform. Local health care reforms requires us to reconnect with the communities we serve. A community-centered approach allows us to respond more directly to the specific needs and health disparities within our locations. From rural areas lacking special services to urban centers overwhelmed with patient demand, each community requires tailored strategies. Even now more than ever, not only just in our local environment, but in the whole world, the kind of care we give now is called patient-centered care. So I'm not coming there now telling me, say, this is how you're going to do it, this is how you're going to do it, this is how. Those decisions are supposed to be made by myself, the provider, and my patient. And that is one thing I want us as students to take home. All right? Gone are the days when your doctor gives you a prescription and they scribble on it, and then you get to the pharmacy and they cover the name of the medicine. The ideal thing, you must tell your patient what you are giving them, what the side effects will be, how long you expect them to take it. Now, if you do that, do you think that patient won't have that trust in you to say, doctor, that medicine you gave to me, this is what happened though. Unlike when you cover it and you say, because I don't want when you have the same, that's in private sector. I don't know if it happens in public too. When you have the same illness, you just go to the pharmacy. You won't come to me. Gone are those days. Gone are those I'm sure this must be old to us. It's no longer happening anyway. But this is the kind of reform we're talking about, patient-centered care. At my center, we do patient satisfaction survey. Okay? So the moment you leave the hospital, somebody is calling you, thank you so much for coming to our hospital. We hope you enjoyed our stay. Oh, by the way, how did Dr. O treat you? How did Nurse B treat you? How was our food? How long did you stay in the waiting area? How long did you stay in the laboratory? Was the laboratory physician, was a scientist, were they cautious? Did they tell you that it was going to cause pain to your child before those things are very important. Because who are your greatest advocates? The patients you serve. And it's word of mouth, okay? If you treat me right as your client, I'm going to tell others about you. There are so many people, they've called me, oh, Dr. Waje, somebody gave me your number. If they were not treated right when they got to the hospital, it was don't go there. That's where they will kill you. Don't go. But if people are saying, this person, and I want it to start with us as students. your bedside manners. I need to doff my hat, sir, to our teachers and our current teachers now. Because Ife is one of those places that we as students, I hope we're still doing that. You must be, our men have their ties on and our girls are well dressed. That's part of the clinicals. You have your ward coat on, By then, some of our consultants, they're already calling you doctor. Meanwhile, you don't know what's going to happen, doctor. They're going to ask you a question. But I realized, and I must really confess, because when I started recruiting physicians, I honestly noticed that the ones from Ife are better dressed than the rest of them. So another point I want to talk about is leveraging technology for transformational change. Now, the future of healthcare is digital. Gone are the days of analog. Everybody now we're Dr. Google. So before you say anything, you need to know your onions. All right? And even in so many places now, especially with the advent of electronic medical records and a lot of things, even now, AI. In fact, it has come to stay. You must all embrace it. Begin to look at it. Because I know that a number of us are going to go beyond the shores of Ife, beyond Nigeria. And it's most important that you know that this technology are there. All right? And the beauty of this technology is that it helps us with our data. Can you imagine now, in our days, we used to have case notes. But now, like in my hospital, we're paperless. Everything is electronic. With a click of a button, even from here, I can tell how many patients we have seen. I can even tell how long they've been waiting in the hospital. And my people know, once they see my calls, Dr. Waje is calling, you are keeping this person too long. This person came in at 1 p.m. Why is she still here and it's 7 p.m.? All right? So the advent of using data now, technology, has really come to stay. And I believe that that's one of the reform that we must embrace. Okay. Then enhancing workforce resilience. Now, behind every successful healthcare system is a team of dedicated professionals. Yet burnout, as Prof has said, staff shortages due to the Japa syndrome, I'm not even going to say that. We all know what's going on. Continue to challenge us. Reform cannot happen without taking care of the caregivers. All right? It's not just about your patient, but about you. Where is your work-life balance? Or should I say now, study-life balance? Look at what our CMD said, work hard, pray harder. It's important, then, I don't know if it happens now anymore, but once it's time for exams, that's when you see all the girls in slippers with a scarf going to class. You will know that, it's exam period. I don't know if it happens, but then, that's when you know this is exam period. But there must be a balance. And for us in the medical profession, okay, we know of people who, even as medical students, have committed suicides, as physicians have committed suicides. Mental health is real. So please, if you are having difficulty, gone are the days when we don't talk about it. It is, I forbid it, I reject it. Those days are gone. It is now, we need to make, those diagnoses are there. And it's important, okay? If you are having issues mentally, please speak out and look for someone to speak to. All right? So how can we have reform if we're not able to take care of our caregivers? We must ensure their well-being, providing adequate training. Thank you to our college and also to our previous alumni, the immense work they have put into making Ife one of the best medical colleges. We cannot but commend them for that. And I want to thank my colleagues, because some of us, when we were doing, we're like, we're not We're not coming to the university. We're just going to Lagos, from Lagos outside Nigeria. But I must give it to those of my colleagues. In fact, the provost and I graduated together. Those of my colleagues who decided to stay behind and impart knowledge into all of you. So thank you so much. So, just as I said, there is a need to prioritize mental health and development of our teams. We must implement policies that support work-life balance, offer opportunities for skill enhancement, and listen to their feedback. A resilient workforce is the backbone of sustainable healthcare reform. Policy advocacy and leadership. Reform requires champions who will advocate for policy changes at every level. Leaders must be willing to push for policies that improve funding, promote equity, and encourage preventive care. Through advocacy, we can bridge the gaps in care, funding, and legislation that so often hinder our efforts to provide high-quality healthcare. Okay, and I think active engagement with local and national policymakers to address healthcare funding and regulatory reform. We must encourage our team to understand policy processes and support advocacy efforts. Together, our voices can drive policy changes that support better outcomes for our patients and communities. We must embrace a culture of continuous improvement. Reform is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. As leaders, we must foster a culture where improvement is not only welcomed but expected. This means promoting a mindset where teams feel empowered to identify inefficiencies, propose solutions, and implement changes that enhance the system. We must create pathways for continuous improvement within our organization. We must encourage our teams to participate in quality improvement initiatives and reward innovation. When we make improvement part of the culture, we set the stage for ongoing sustainable reform. The time to act is now. Reform in local healthcare system is not only necessary, it is within our power, one step at a time. By committing to community-centered care, investing in technology, supporting our workforce, advocating for policy change, fostering a culture of continuous improvement, we can really drive impactful change. This journey may be challenging, but it is also an extraordinary opportunity to shape the future of healthcare for the better. Let us move forward, ready to reform, empowered to lead, and dedicated to making a difference in every community we serve. Together, we can transform our local healthcare system, one step at a time. Thank you. So I promised that I was going to tell my story. Anyway, I was one of those people that I had to sign affidavit age declaration because I was underage. I was 15 when I came to med school. You know then, IFE, all of us, IFE is the only university then that would take you even if you are 10. For as long as you pass your exams and did well, they would take you. So at 15 now, they had to declare so that I can come in. And I came in bright-eyed. I was very good. I made A1s on all my school certs exams. So you can imagine my school's WASC or whatever we were calling it then. First year was okay. Second year was such a challenge. I just could not get the bearing. Then we're doing biostatistics, we were doing community, we were, nothing geared towards a lot of medicine. And, it was difficult. In fact, in 1982 when I came in was a transition when they were stopping the BSc Health Sciences and they were just going to go 6 years continuous. Because before in IFE, when you come in, you get a BSc Health Sciences. I don't know if any of, yes, you did. Because by my side, they had already stopped. So after 4 years, so some people, if they just decided, that they're okay with that, they can actually go with just BSc Health Sciences. And after that, you have 3 years of clinicals. Anyway, so, the first 3 years was, the third year was a bit of a struggle for me. And that was when we did anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. And I failed physiology and chemistry. I only passed anatomy. And I had to repeat. But it was a turning point for me. Okay? In fact, in all fairness, I wasn't one of those spirit girls. I was in SU. So it wasn't because I was partying. I just could not grasp all of those things together at that time. Anyway, but by the time I was repeating was when I became classmates with Professor Kolawole. In fact, I think my year was probably the year that they had so many of us repeating. And they had to change the program. Yes. You know, but it was an eye-opener for me. All right, because after that, I created a study group for myself. Myself and about 3 of us, we created a study group. We were not even waiting for exams. We would study, we would read, we would go to the hospital for clinicals. In fact, you know, the thing, a lot of students will say, it's because that professor did not like me. It's because, but if you are borderline, if you're only getting let my people go, then it's easy for any professor now. But if you know within yourself that you have studied hard and your grades are in the top level, no professor can say anything to you. By the way, by the time I was in clinics, I had a car. I had a white Jetta. We as students, you remember, BDSA, we as students will park by the side because, you know, respect begets respect. You cannot take your professor's parking space. But even with that, we did extremely well. We did extremely well. So you could not fault me. I would be in class, I would go for my clinics, I would stay behind. And when I left med school, did my house job in Louth, did my youth service, and I did my exams, and I went to the US. All right, I'm one of those I said, just go, take your training and come back. I didn't want to stay. But life happened. I met my husband, I had my children, and I stayed for about 20 years in the US. But even with that, I still wanted to come back. Because people would tell me, they will call me, is this one? But sis, you are not here now, so you cannot do. So there was just that burning desire that I needed to be back. And then when I came, of course, my family were in Lagos, so that's really where I would need to stay. By the time I got back, I went for some interviews, but I knew that what I wanted was not what I was saying. There was a need for me to create something differently. And that's how Pediatric Partners came to be. It was established in 2011. And I must say in that Pediatric Partners actually made a difference in quality care in pediatrics in Lagos. We even have people who fly in from Abuja, Port Harcourt. That's how much they got to know. And what did we do? We put processes in place. Because I've been outside the country, I know how good systems should run in a private setting. And of course, it got to the point that I felt that, look, it's important to have a purpose-built hospital because a large number of hospitals in Lagos, I must say, because I can't hold for other cities. But in Lagos, most people will turn a rented or whatever into a hospital. That is not a hospital. So I knew that I wanted a purpose-built. When I turned 50, everybody are calculating my age now. We were gifted with the land. And you know what my father then said, I want you to build a hospital here. So My husband and myself, we knew that it was not going to be anything else but a hospital. And we started. It was not easy. None of the banks would give me a loan. They said I should go and bring my great-great-grandfather. Anyway, you know, sometimes your destiny fulfiller, you get to meet them in your place of work. And that's what I mean by work ethics. A gentleman came to my office then at Pediatric Partners. They just brought his card. I looked, I didn't even look well. I thought, I want banks, they want me to come and open an account because that's the only thing you see them for. I wish that I had read it well. But I just thought, and then my hospital administrator came back and said, he's waiting downstairs. I said, for all his word, let me get up and go and see this gentleman. And there I met the MD of the bank. Then I didn't even know he was, but he was on the phone. I said, okay, let me just wait and let him complete his phone call. And then after, how are you, sir? I'm Dr. Waje, blah, blah, blah. So we went and we talked and all that. Anyway, they were bringing their daughter to me for me to take care of. And then he would look and say, this place is too small for you people now. Don't you, you know? In fact, later on he told me, he said, when he asked that he wanted the best pediatric hospital in Lagos, they gave him my name. And he said, he got there, he said, so this is the best. Okay. You know, my husband would say something, he said, the building does not match the service that we were given. Anyway, so he said, then we said, well, we have land, but we don't have equity, we don't have. He said, bring. That's what destiny helpers do. They were able to package it, and they gave us a little loan to start. We started the building. The whole idea was, okay, we'll build rental office space at the back so that this and that and that. Then COVID happened. And everybody had to look inwards. Even the federal government, they had to look inward. Nobody was going anywhere. So we knew there was a need for that. And I had at the back of my mind that, you know, those Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, National Children's Hospital of Washington, that's the kind of hospital that I want to build. And that was the vision that I had. So that was how Atlantis Pediatric Hospital came to be. Okay? I can tell you that when you come to Atlantis Pediatric Hospital, you will think you're outside the country. I can say that for a fact. How did we get there? We listened to our patients. In fact, when we were creating the rooms, we asked our patients that were seen before, what kind of thing do you want in your room? I want comfort. I don't want to sit on the chair when my child is on admission. I want something to be able to lay down on. I want my doctor to take me as, not just talk down on me. Ask me if I have questions. This is how I want. I want it to be playful. I want my child not to feel like they're in the hospital. And that was how Atlantis Pediatric Hospital came to be. One of the things I also said was, I'm not going to be queuing for oxygen. So we also built a medical gas plant. We're actually able to deliver. We can make about 30 cylinders a day. We can't use it all. So we sell. And we have 3 operating theaters. Okay? But one thing that we knew we couldn't do at all, that even Prof said, was collaboration. Okay? The days of being on my own, for my own, by my own, it's all gone. It's collaboration. We collaborate with hospitals around us. All right? Okay, you can do this laparoscopically. We will send our patient to you so you can get it done. Okay, I can do hemodialysis. We'll send over to you. You have MRI? We'll go to you. You have CT? We'll go to you. You have a baby that needs to be transported. I have transport incubator. I'm coming to pick for you to take to where you need to. And I think that's how reform would start. Us all thinking inwards, looking inwards, and taking one step, one at a time. Thank you.
Wow, please, once again, can we jam our hands together for Dr. Atinike? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I can't stop saying wow. Please, one more time, a big round of applause. That's quite inspiring. For me, it's quite slightly unfortunate that I missed the first half of the session. I had to attend to some things. But the half that I met, my life will never remain the same. No, really, please, a round of applause once again. So who is ready for my 10,000 naira giveaway now? You are still shy. Laughs in poverty. You are shy to win 10,000 in this economy. Okay, we're going to have a break now, an interlude. We have a beautiful performance from members for dramatic art. Yes, the Center of Dramatic Art will be coming up on stage to show us some amazing display of culture, vibrance, and dance. How many of you wish you can dance? You wish you know how to dance? Raise your hand. Dope. Good. As you are watching them, you just begin to see that your body is moving. Don't fight it. Let it go. Don't hold it back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please, a round of applause for dramatic art students. A round of applause for them, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't try this one at home. Don't try this one in your skills. Please, a big round of applause. Wow. Again, please, whatever you do, don't try that at. Don't try it at home. How many of you believe that if they put you on this stage, you can also do what they are doing? Don't be shy. Yes, one. It's only that bros that build. Two, that beautiful